this core human function, this ability to connect, to be present with other people, present with ourselves, and most importantly, present with our Creator. And if we're not careful, that lack of presence will cost us our joy, our futures, and our souls. And as Jesus once warned us, it profits us nothing to gain the entire world if we lose our souls in the process. I saw a GIF this week that's basically the story of my life. I had seen this one before and related to it as a dad. Or if I'm being real with all of you, as a pastor, sometimes. I was like, I'm that guy, and then I saw it on Tuesday and I was like, I'm not that guy. I'm that sheep. Again and again, I'm like, what would be a good idea? That thing that didn't work out before. I could go in any direction, but I should try the same stupid path I've taken. Like anybody else feel like that's their life? Yeah, I figured I wasn't alone. And so we're kicking off this brand new series today called Ancient Paths. And the name of this series comes from the book of Jeremiah, chapter 6, verse 16, where God says, stand at the crossroads and look. Ask for the ancient paths where the good way is and walk in it, and you will find rest for your souls. This is God speaking to a nation that's in open rebellion against him, trying to chart their own course rather than his, saying, look, there are a lot of paths that you can take out there in the world. There are a lot of voices that are going to clamor for your attention and tell you how to get from where you are to where you want to be, but most of them will not get you there. And so take some time at every decision point and look for the ways that have led to life for those who went before you. Look for the way that leads to the one who has always been faithful, and you will find rest for your souls. And I love the word that God uses for rest here. The root word of it actually connotes like a raging storm on the sea. And so this word rest means like escape from the crashing waves, rest from the tempest. I don't know if your life ever feels like a tempest, but mine does. And I think in the middle of all that, all of us could use some rest from God deep down in the roots of our souls. And Jesus says that his path leads us to that rest. In fact, it's kind of cool. In Matthew 11, when Jesus says, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest for your souls, he's actually quoting Jeremiah 6:16. And this is a totally different message for a totally different day, but it's a claim to divinity. This is Jesus revealing that he's God, because when he quotes Jeremiah 6:16, he doesn't say, thus saith the Lord, come to him and he'll give you rest. He says, I say, come to me and I will give you rest from the tempest. And it's so cool because it's Jesus revealing that, like, hey, I said this to my people through Jeremiah thousands of years ago, and I'm saying it to you again now. But the question for us this morning is, like, what are these ancient paths that lead to the good way, that lead to human flourishing, that lead to the rest our souls are dying for, and how do we find them? And that's the question I want to answer over the next few weeks. We're going to take some time and look at a few different ancient paths that lead us toward the life God says we were made for, because we need God's peace to take root in our souls. We're living in hectic times. And as we stand at the crossroads, there are a lot of paths our culture invites us to walk down, but so many of them lead to even greater freneticism and busyness and commotion and stress and the hustle of a hectic pace that leaves us empty and burnt out. Like, our world is faster and louder than it has ever been. Way louder. There's a guy named Bernie Krause who records nature sounds for TV and movies. And apparently when he started out in 1968, he would have to record about 15 hours to get 1 hour of uninterrupted nature sounds without any airplanes, cars, trains, radios, noise, music at all. Fast forward half a century, and he now has to record 2,000 hours to get 1 hour of uninterrupted sound. 15 to 2,000 in 50 years. Our world is loud. And it's not just audio noise, it's visual noise, it's mental noise, it's noise and noise and noise. In 2007, Steve Jobs unleashed the iPhone on the world. Facebook became available to anyone with an email address, and Twitter became its own platform, and the world has never been the same. Like, those of you who are under 30 might not even understand this. You have no frame of reference for it, but we used to have to wait in waiting rooms. It's true, that's how they got their name. Fun fact, like, now they're phoning rooms, but you used to have to just sit there and wait with your thoughts And it wasn't fun. I get it, why we reach for phones, because like boredom or existential dread would well up inside of you, and now we're like, I saw a study that said 77% of us, 77% will reach for our phone within 60 seconds if nothing else is going on. That's a lot, because I mean, part of that 23% is old people who don't know how to use their phones. Like that's a lot of us. And I was thinking about it this week. There was a time when we just didn't know everything. Like you would be sitting alone and like, what's osmosis again? And then that was the end. You're not going to drive to your science teacher's house. You're just like, I guess I'll drop it. And that's like, or even unimportant stuff. You'd be hanging out with friends and someone would quote The Big Lebowski and you're like, I always get my Hollywood Jeffs mixed up. Is that Goldblum or Bridges? And everyone would say, And then you just didn't know. Because Google wasn't in your pocket and you couldn't stream it. You just had to live your life like that. And then 6 months later, someone would have a t-shirt that said The Dude Abides. And you'd be like, oh yeah. You run up and be like, Hollywood Jeffs. And they say, Bridges. Goldblum is Jurassic Park Jeff. And you would be like, oh, and this wave of relief would wash over you. And that's the story of how you met your wife. It's how it worked for all of us back in the day. And now it's just not like that anymore. And I think we've lost something in all of the technology and entertainment that we've gained, and I worry that it's more than just quiet. I wonder if the distractions of our world have robbed us of the ability to be fully present. We're just so constantly distracted that it's difficult to be all there, no matter where we are or who we're with. There's a longtime Microsoft researcher, Linda Stone, who says our new normal is something she's termed continual partial attention. I don't know if that feels center bullseye to anyone else's life, but it does to mine. Continual partial attention. And there's a writer named Andrew Sullivan who wrote about this phenomenon, about trying to escape his phone addiction for New York Magazine. It's a powerful and frankly scary article to read, but his last line haunts me. He says, this new epidemic of distraction is our civilization's specific weakness. And its threat is not so much to our minds, even as they shapeshift under the pressure, the threat is to our souls. At this rate, if the noise does not relent, we might even forget that we have any. You guys, the busyness, the technology, the noise of our world is robbing us of this core human function, this ability to connect, to be present. Present with other people, present with ourselves, and most importantly, present with our Creator. And if we're not careful, that lack of presence will cost us our joy, our futures, and our souls. And as Jesus once warned us, it profits us nothing to gain the entire world if we lose our souls in the process.